Well, this is the truth behind the beef with Slick Rick and Leor Cohen and Def Jam, Russell Simmons, all that. Well, at the time when Slick Rick was there, it was Leor Cohen who really signed him, but it's Slick Rick. You know what I'm saying? Slick Rick was the man. So when they signed Slick Rick over, you had Dana Dane, all these people trying to rap like Slick Rick, and it was just his style. Everybody just loved that accent. Because it's unheard of, really. The words he used, his format, and the unfortunate shooting incident that had him locked up in 1990. When this was happening and we got the news, his second album was getting ready to come out. I shouldn't have done it, which people thought the song was talking about the actual shooting incident that he was involved in. Because you got to remember, at the time, rap wasn't making the evening news. We had to wait to find out, like on radio, or was it going to be in Black Beat or some type of magazine that was going to put it out, that we didn't get the information. So we had to wait and hit the stores to see what was going to happen with Slick Rick in the situation, or MTV Raps, and like, let's see what's going on with Slick Rick. So naturally, the public finds out about it, the shooting, and Slick Rick is incarcerated or what have you, and people like, man, Slick Rick gonna be gone for life. Like, this is probably the last Slick Rick record we gonna get. And I like this record more than the first record. The Adventures of Slick Rick, of course, everybody's in love with The Adventures of Slick Rick. There's some songs on there that are great and songs I don't like, but The Ruler's Back, to me, was like so slept on as an album because it didn't get the promotion because Rick was locked up and couldn't really do anything for the record like he wanted to. But the production, the lyrics, everything was just on point, from the King all the way down. And this is where problems with Def Jam started. They took a song and made a party record called The Ruler's Back, and just like a house beat, house tempo, and it was like house music rap with Slick Rick, and I didn't like that to begin with, but it fit Chicago. Everybody in Chicago played that last song on that album, The Ruler's Back. Slick Rick hated it, but he wasn't in a position to say anything about it. Before the album came out or released or whatever, Def Jam was like, look, we need something we can put on the radio. This is a fast tune record. We need it. And all it is just scratching and high pitch and samples from all Rick previous records to finish the album. They wanted to put something on there to kill some time. So 3 years go by, Slick Rick is finishing his third album, Behind Bars. The album people been waiting on to come out, and the first joint he did with Prince Paul on it, Behind Bars, he really liked that record, and he wants that to be the first single on his album coming out. And at this time, there's been a transition in the hip-hop game. Everything's going more West Coast. There was a big surgence of the Death Row sound and the P-Funk era, what they called it, the G-Funk, with Warren G, sound, and how the Chronic was sounding. So Def Jam wanted to jump on this right away because they so eager to make money. They had Warren G work on Slick Rick's album, have him come in and assist. Now everybody else who had worked on the album were people that knew or met Slick Rick, or had something to do with Rick. Warren G really didn't have anything to do with Rick. Rick didn't really know him besides he's related to Dr. Dre, and he didn't disrespect Warren G. He didn't hate Warren G. He just didn't feel that that was a good mix for his album. He's just like, no, he heard the song that Warren G did, this is what Warren G came up with for Behind Bars. And he was like, why are we doing this? What's these? Oh no, that's just a remix. We're gonna put it on the album now. Just so we can appease to the West Coast fans. Rick's like, he wasn't in a real position to argue because he's behind bars. What is he gonna say? But he's not really feeling it because they asked him, his opinion on it. He's like, Behind Bars should be his first single. So Behind Bars come out, and it's not the Prince Paul version. It's the Warren G version. And they was like, whoa. Rick was like, they told me that's the remix, which it was, but the remix was the lead single off the album. How did that happen? Because Warren G is hot, and they were kicking the ball around. They was like, Ricky want to talk to somebody. Ricky want to talk to somebody. Ricky, everybody's avoiding Slick Rick, because Rick is like steam. What's going on, man? How did this happen? So Russell had to be the one to come talk to him. And Rick just, man, Russ, you dropped the ball. How did something like this happen with you crumbs? We all ain't having it, we all not living it, And his style was made for him, Doesn't mean that that's going to go for Ricky. So, Russ come down and Ricky, listen, Ricky. Nobody said nothing about your album. Your album's going to be the best thing ever on Def Jam. You're the biggest artist in Def Jam. Forget LL, okay? LL's old. LL's done. It's about you, Rick. We just want to get you back out there to your people. Trust me. Trust what we're doing. If I ever let you down, remember when you first came to me? Remember when I first said? I said, don't worry about it. Ricky, we got you. Your jewelry, I don't know nothing about your jewelry. Listen, I'm finna do a movie. Okay? It's gonna be on the whole history of hip-hop. And you're gonna be the feature. You're gonna be the biggest thing on there. I love you, Ricky. Now, all this stuff he talking about for Ricky, because they was finna do the show, he had to get Slick Rick to write off and sign on doing the show. The movie that he's gonna put out, putting the feature of really Def Jam artists with the West Coast and everything else. So once he got the approval to do the movie for the show, he got the clearance rights for Slick Rick to be in it. And this was at the same time Behind Bars is coming out. So you get to see the cameras and Slick Rick go over his frustrations with what had happened with the actual launch. So they come out with the second single, Sitting in My Car. Right? And this is when Rick's had enough. They put a fake Slick Rick in a car, and the guy's got the gold chain on, the patch on the eye, the hat like Slick Rick, and he's sitting in the car talking to the girl. And Slick Rick wanted Sitting in My Car to be the second release single, which it was. And it was the best thing for the album. And everybody's like, man, Slick Rick home? They thinking Slick Rick is at home. And while people was out fighting, trying to get Slick Rick out, free Slick Rick and all this stuff, and they thinking, man, when did Slick Rick come home? They got him in the car right here in the video. So, Slick Rick's pissed. That's because it was totally disrespectful for them to do that. And what Leon Cohen said, we was greedy. We apologize to Rick, but we was greedy at that time. Because, now everybody's all good. They're in a good space. But when something like that happens, you behind bars, that's just extra stress on your head because things are not going well and there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to sit back. But when you're an artist, like somebody like Slick Rick, it affects you. So Slick was going to drop another album and it's like, forget it. I ain't dropping nothing. That's why when the art of storytelling came out, he was prepared. He was prepared. He was going to be done the right way. It was going to be done the way Slick wanted to do it, and it was going to get back to storytelling raps, the beats he liked, and the people he chose to work with. He didn't hate Warren G style. He just felt like for that record and for what he was trying to do and come out, he just felt like my fans want to hear Rick be Slick Rick, the way Slick Rick's supposed to be. And sometimes the artist knows best. It's his project. It's his style. There was nobody before Slick Rick like Slick Rick. The type of beats he rapped to, the type of things he talked about, his ad libs and whatever y'all talk about now, Rick had all that back then. And Rick's style is Rick's style. He knows what it should sound like, what it should be like. He had a whole different approach to doing things. I don't know if it was coming from England and coming to the United States and having that dual flavor, but he changed the game as far as how to tell a story and keep the people engaged. So Slick Rick was the catalyst for that, and Def Jam tried to shape it into a project that's going to make money for Def Jam. And in the process, they alienated the artist. But everybody's cool now. So, to the guy who said I forgot to do it, you're right. I actually forgot to do this. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm out.